To make our sushi rice, first we take our rice, and it is actually labeled sushi rice, so it's a Japanese short grain rice. And we're going to rinse it under cold water until the water runs clear, which should not take very long. And then we're just going to let it drain for an hour, get as much of the water out of it as we can. And then we're putting it into the rice cooker. Now, sushi rice obviously is not just plain rice. We all know from the flavor of it that there is other stuff in there. So we will get that started when we put our rice into the cooker. So I have the cutest little rice cooker. We are going to put our rice in. And that didn't take long at all. An hour is plenty of time. It comes out almost dry. So that is on my little measuring cup at the 120 mark for the rice. So to get the right amount of liquid in, it's 140 of cold water. Then we're going to close it up and get it started. And this is so cute, it's even got little handles. Okay, let's get it cooking. For the dressing for the rice, we start with 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but we're not making a lot of rice. About half a tablespoon of mirin. Tablespoon and a half of sugar. And we're going to add just a little pinch of salt. I don't like it salty, I prefer it sweeter. So we'll just add a little squish around. And we turn the stove on to low. Because all we really want to do here is just dissolve the sugar into the vinegar and mirin. So our dressing for our rice does not take very long. And just give it a little stir to make sure everything's dissolved in there. Turn your heat right off and just set it aside for later. That will go on our rice once it's out of the pot and in the bowl. Now that our rice cooker is finished, we're just going to open it up. Take our rice out. And that is a beautiful pot of rice. You can see that there. We'll cover our rice with a clean towel and let it rest for 15 minutes and cool a little bit, and then we will be putting it in the bowl with the dressing. And unfortunately I don't have the wooden bowl, so we just have to deal with what I've got. Now that our rice has had time to cool a little bit, it's not cold by any means, we're going to put it into our bowl. And just give it a little spread around. Spread it over the bottom of the bowl. That is beautiful. Let me take our dressing, get our spoon out of the way. We're just going to drizzle. Let's do it this way. We're just going to drizzle our dressing over the rice. Trying not to absolutely drench it in any particular spot. There we go. Then we just take our rice paddle and mix it. And we need it to cool to room temperature. Looks like we had a hot spot in the bottom of the pan there. All my instructions for sushi rice say to fan it until it reaches room temperature. I have a feeling we're probably pretty close to room temperature as it is. it here and check temperature and flavor. That is very nice. Okay. And it is definitely not hot. So yeah, it's pretty close to room temperature. So now we're just going to cover it with the tea towel and let it sit until we're ready to use it. Now, strange as it sounds, when you're making sushi, you do not want your fish to be refrigerated cold. You want it up closer to room temperature. So I'm taking it out of the fridge now. I have some scallops, some salmon, and a nice piece of tuna. We're going to let it come up a little bit in temperature because I just took it out of the fridge. I am not going to unpackage it yet because I do own a cat and he likes fish. And then you need nori, which is the sheets of dried seaweed. They're just thin sheets and they're lovely, and you can cut them to size or in strips to wrap around things. And then we do have our rice that we made a little while ago, and it's sitting here becoming lovely and firm and soaking up all that dressing. So we're going to let this warm up a little bit, and then we'll be back to make the sushi. And actually some of it's going to be sashimi and some is going to be nigiri. So the first thing I'm going to do is deal with my salmon. Get a small piece of sockeye salmon, and I just gave it a quick rinse. We are going to remove the skin. So I've sharpened my knife. I am not the best at sharpening knives, so we'll just have to see how this goes. And yes, the cat is sitting right below me, hoping for some. So to take the skin off, you just put your knife at an angle and run it between the skin and the fish, like so. And we are going to slice our salmon. First we're going to check for bones. Yeah, there are still some in there. But we're going to cut it in strips. Make sure there's no bones. There's some down there. You can see them. I don't know if you can see them there, but I can see the white little bones there. If you have pliers, like needle nose pliers, you can use those to pull them out if you can't get hold of them with your fingers. Or just get them with your fingers. And I will say it again, I say it pretty much every time I do a video, make sure you have clean hands. Make sure you have washed your hands well, because we are dealing with raw fish and we don't want to add any possibility of bacteria or fungus or whatever in there. So give them another slice. There we go. And you see there's a couple there. Get those out of there. Some of those. Wow, that must have been a thin edge. I have a feeling that strip has a lot of bones in it. So put those aside on a plate. We're going to clean up our bones. We don't want them being reintroduced after we've done all that work to remove them. Now we have our sushi mat, and we have some plastic wrap. So what we're going to do is wrap our sushi mat in plastic wrap of any decent size, because it always does tend to fold over in the wrong spot or go the wrong way. There we go. Okay. So now what we do is take a sheet of nori. And this is going to be an inside-out roll. So first off, our rice. Just going to coat the nori. Oops. Where's my bowl of water? Now we're going to put another sheet of plastic wrap over our rice coated nori, and then we're going to pick it up and very carefully flip it over. Well, quickly. I don't know how carefully that was, but quickly. Then we're going to take our salmon strips, try to get them fairly even. Some seem to be bigger than others. Okay, that's okay. We can take a thinner one, sort of make up for it. And we are going to put some cucumber slices, or sticks, slices, sticks, whatever you want to call them. Now, we're going to very carefully roll and pick up the plastic wrap and pull it. And just make a nice roll and press it with your fingers and hands. Make a nice roll. And as you get them to the end, there's my water, just coat that with some water and keep going. And you can, as long as your plastic wrap isn't caught inside it there, take the mat and give it a good roll and tighten it up. And just unwind everything. And then what we're going to do is just on the top side, sprinkle some toasted sesame seeds. Like so. Okay, that one we're going to set aside. We will cut it shortly, but for now, it's just going to sit there just like that. Now we don't need the mat for this next one. We're done with the mat for now. Our next one is going to be Scallop Nigiri. I have 4 lovely scallops there. I'm just going to take a bit of rice and squeeze it into a torpedo shape. You don't want to get it too wet or it's not going to stick together. So be careful how much water you put on your hands. And we're going to take the scallop. I think I'm just going to do a little bit of a butterfly. And lay it, you can't see that there. Lay it on top of the rice. Then I have strips of nori that I cut with scissors. And we're just going to wet them in our water and wrap them around to make a pretty little parcel. Just like so. And we'll set those aside. Alright, next up is the sashimi, which does not include a rice. So now we need to find the best way to slice our beautiful piece of tuna. And we're not going to slice it too thin. About 1/4 of an inch thick. I'm trying to cut it really thin. I do want it very, very thin. I should probably use a mandolin for this. The pickled ginger. Let's see. On there. So we'll put it over here where you can see it. It's starting to look nice. Let's get the pickled ginger here. Try to get it into a nice shape. Oh, I love the smell of pickled ginger. Put it right there. Oh, here we go. And don't forget, we still have our inside out roll to go. So now we take our roll, unwrap it from the plastic wrap. We're going to cut it, where are we, in half first. You want a good sharp knife, or you're just going to squash it. And we're going to cut it into about inch thick rounds. So we get 6 pieces out of one roll. Okay, our next dish, and the final one we're making tonight, is Agadashi Tofu. So get this open. I did buy some lovely tofu puffs. Now, normally you just want the green parts of the green onions, or scallions, some people call them. But since these are getting a little long in the tooth, most of the green is kind of beyond help. We will get what we can. Just do a fine chop on these. And I have my broth, which is dashi, light soy sauce, and mirin. Don't pour it over the tofu, just pour it around. And then sprinkle with the green onions. Oops. So there's my sushi dinner. Well, it is sushi, sashimi, nigiri, agadashi tofu. I do have some miso soup. And of course, we have sake. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Join, follow. Everything helps me advance my channel. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'm now going to enjoy some really lovely sushi. Thank you so much for watching.